Zambia is located 2 hours north of South Africa. It's a landlocked country. Majority of the country is plagued with poverty. When you drive the streets in Zambia, it's a completely different visual than what we see here in the United States.
The poverty means that they eat 1 meal a day, or they can barely even have 1 meal to eat, or they have no access to finances to be able to even get medical care or get buy food for the family or get an education. If they cannot have enough to be able to take care, then there's all kinds of stuff that happen to kids that are in that family. They end up in the streets.
If one of the parents dies, and often it's the father, and he's the one that provides for the family, then it leaves the mom and the children in a destitute position that then kids have to leave school, then go help and sell on the streets, help provide for the family, and then there's this cycle that starts that without any intervention just continues, and that happens more often than not.
My name is Robert Zaglago, and this is my wife, Erin Zaglago. We are both the directors of Breath of Heaven Children's Ministry, US.
12 years ago, Ted and Judy Lawler started Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries, and it was birthed out of seeing the need, seeing these kids where they were at. Their plan wasn't to start a missions organization and move and do the work in an African country. He was pastoring a church, and Judy had a job. But the Lord placed it on their hearts, and they said yes. And Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries was birthed and has impacted these children's lives, but also stopped the cycle that would have continued to exist without their intervention. When it started, it didn't look like it does today. And it was a step of faith, because how do you start something out of nothing? But God showed up. They built the first 3 houses and then added more houses, and now there's a total of 8 houses in the village. We have the school that was built, and we're also in process of building a medical clinic and a secondary technical school and trade school. And that was all as a result of Ted and Judy saying yes. A simple yes to the call to be the hands and feet of Jesus to the vulnerable and orphaned in Zambia.
I want to begin by asking you a question, and I think it's an important question. I'd like to ask you, what was your childhood like? Was it one filled with joy? Was it one filled with exploration? And secondly, I ask you about your own children, those of you who might be raising them now. Childhood is meant to be a time of wonderment, laughter, and surprises. Experiencing happiness and fulfillment in childhood depends on whether a child's God-given potential is nurtured and developed or crushed through abuse and neglect. Unfortunately, many of the children who are referred to us are children whose lives have been uprooted by virtue of some type of trauma, whether it be the death of one or both parents, whether it be abandonment, whether it be neglect. But all of our children are orphans who are in need of intervention and care. We are committed to providing a healing environment where children can be healed of emotional wounds that hinder them from enjoying the present and believing in any hope in the future. Our model for child care is taken from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. A very strong foundational value that we have in our ministry is love never fails. We are ministers of God's love, mercy, and grace. And in that way, we gather children in individual family homes that are on our property altogether, because in the African context, there is not just the nuclear family, but there's also the support that comes from the extended family by way of village and others that surround children in many types of interaction. Last year and then this year, we had our first graduating classes from our secondary school, or as it's called here, our high school. All of them have gone on to start their university or college programs, and two have gone into, one to agricultural, one into a technical school. All of them having a future that is full of hope. I can't think of a better way than to invest in a child than to come alongside us in Breath of Heaven. I encourage you tonight to consider some type of support to our ministry, whether it be an individual donation towards our school or our other ministries, or whether it be towards sponsorship of a child or an individual gift. I can guarantee you that if you do so, you will change a child's life forever.
The village is pretty phenomenal in how it's set up in the family homes, where there are individual family units with 12 kids and a house mom, but also operating as a family unit with all of the houses. And they have 3 meals a day, then snacks, have health care, taken to the doctor if there's a need, and are getting a quality education. But they're loved. They're truly loved. And the house moms aren't just working for Breath of Heaven, but it's a ministry in which they're being the hands and feet of Jesus to these kids.
I like when they first come, there is that celebration that goes on with all the rest of the kids, with songs, singing and celebrating. It's really awesome.
There was a child that came last year, and Robert was taking a picture of him when he first came, remember? And he would not even look at the camera. He looked so just withdrawn. And then a couple weeks later, Robert shot a picture of him out of front of our church, and this huge smile, just total difference from when he came. And it was 2 weeks later?
2 weeks later,
and
that joy
the transformation that happened in just that short amount of time was phenomenal to witness, personally for us. But each of those kids have a story like that.
Breath of Heaven Children's Ministry employs over 50 people that helps in the daily operations of their ministry.
And they're very essential to the operations there. And we're going to be hearing from our country director in Zambia, Yanila Luhanga.
My name is Yanila Luhanga Mkape, and I'm the country director of Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries, Zambia. Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries is a privately funded NGO, and our core purpose is to rescue orphans and vulnerable children from a life of hopelessness, bringing them into a safe, home-like environment where they're protected and loved. Our children's village provides shelter for the children in our care. Currently, we have 10 homes. 2 of these are transition homes which are used by our high school graduates. And each village home provides shelter for 12 children who are well taken care of by living moms and aunties. In order to provide quality education to children in our care, Breath of Heaven Academy was founded. It spans from baby class to grade 12. To make quality education more accessible, Breath of Heaven Academy opened its doors to nearby communities. 300 of 400 children at Breath of Heaven Academy are tuition-paying students. We believe that a good education holds the key to lifting children out of the endless circle of poverty, hopelessness, and despair. The construction of Hope Clinic is another important work in progress here at the village. When operational, the facility will provide quality medical care for the children in our care, as well as many families nearby. We want each child to know and understand God's love, mercy, and forgiveness, and that He is the Father to the fatherless. Therefore, Breath of Heaven Worship Center was built. The Worship Center holds church services, conferences, discipleship training, and prayer meetings. With so much going on here at the village, we would like to be self-sustainable as possible, which is why we have come up with income-generating activities that can help enhance sustainability. Our aquaponics, or fish farm as we call it, has been a great source of rich tilapia. Our gardens and fruit trees have given us fresh produce, and the chickens we raise and sell help us feed the children and raise money. The Breath of Heaven Tuck Shop is another enterprise which helps us raise money. Zambia, like many other developing countries, is still facing challenges in line with providing support and care for orphans and vulnerable children, as the growing numbers overwhelm available resources and capabilities. And that is why the work Breath of Heaven Children's Village is doing in Zambia is truly making a difference. In the words of Mother Teresa, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. Our special gratitude goes to the founders, Pastor Ted Lawler and his lovely wife, Judith Lawler. I have personally seen God work through them. They have given hope and a future to so many children who had no hope. May the good Lord continue blessing them. We're also grateful to all the sponsors, donors, as well as the Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries US team. May the good Lord bless you and your families. The Bible book of James chapter 1 verse 27 says, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." As Breath of Heaven, we continue standing on this scripture and allowing God to do His work through all of us. Thank you so much.
Education empowers and elevates and helps break the cycle of poverty in our societies.
Yeah, that's why Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries started Breath of Heaven Academy. And when it first started, it was taking place in one of the houses. And now we educate all of our children, all the children in the village, and in addition of 300 children coming from the community. And we are looking forward to completing Breath of Heaven Academy Secondary Technical School, which will be a separate campus specifically for secondary school, high school, which will also include a trade school and 4 additional homes for children.
Hello everyone, my name is Judy Lawler and I'm the co-founder, along with my husband Ted, of Breath of Heaven Children's Ministries. Tonight, I want to speak with you about the educational component of the work we do here in Zambia. Providing the children with a quality education is one of the most important aspects of our program. It is the key to lifting the children out of poverty by giving them the tools they need to succeed. Currently, we educate our children in a single facility located on our original 10-acre site, with classes extending from pre-K through the 12th grade. When we first bought this property, we anticipated that it would be adequate to accommodate the children's village with all 14 homes and play areas, the church, the medical clinic, and the primary through secondary school. But as time went on, we began to feel a little bit cramped, trying to get everything onto one site. Still, we proceeded to plan out the property the best we could in order to get the maximum use out of the land that we had. At the end of 2017, a piece of property about the same size as our original campus became available a short walking distance down the road. This was a completely unexpected development, and so we began to pray to discern whether or not this was something that the Lord was opening up for us. Within a few short weeks, God not only gave us an answer, but He also provided all the money needed to buy the property in question. It was absolutely amazing, one of the many times He has moved in an extraordinary way on our behalf. The new campus will accommodate a completely separate high school facility. In addition to providing excellent academic instruction, a new high school will include a section devoted to vocational training, which is a very important aspect of preparing our children for their future. Breath of Heaven Technical Secondary School and Vocational Training Center will be a huge benefit to many children. It will serve 3 categories of students. First of all, the orphans who reside at the Children's Village. These are our first and foremost responsibility. Secondly, children from outside the village whose parents seek a quality education for their kids and can pay something towards that. Will serve them, and the income from the school fees collected will be used to fund the school's operating costs. Finally, impoverished teenagers from the community who cannot afford to attend even the public high school and have no chance at an education will be served by our new school. For this third group, we have recently established the Breath of Heaven Scholarship Fund to help them fulfill their dreams of attaining a quality high school education. We already have 45 students such as these attending Breath of Heaven Academy completely free of charge. Your support for our scholarship fund will enable us to give these students and many others the education that will help them change the trajectory of their lives. When fully built out, the Breath of Heaven Technical Secondary School will include 10 classrooms, or 2 classrooms for grades 8 through 12, 2 science labs, one for biology and the other for chemistry and physics, a computer lab, a library, administration building, separate workshops for vocationals, outdoor athletic facilities. Then, on the other side of the property, we will have room to build 8 more residential homes for orphan children who are placed in our care, plus all the play area they will need. Now, where do we stand right now? Much has been accomplished. In just the past year, we have finished construction of the block walls surrounding the property. We've put in a well and run electricity to the site, and we've installed a septic system. But most exciting of all, we have just finished construction of our 2 science labs, and I'm standing in one of them right now. They're just beautiful, I think. Now, in order for us to start using these laboratories, they need to be furnished with chairs and whiteboards and properly equipped for the students' scientific experiments. That would cost about $5,000 for each lab, and I'm hoping that someone watching can help us with that tonight. The global pandemic that we have been fighting in 2020 has reminded us of how fleeting life on this earth is and how quickly it can be taken away. And while we're here, God calls us to live a life centered on His Son Jesus and on His kingdom purposes. In the Bible, we are frequently exhorted to demonstrate our faith through acts of love. One way you can show your care and concern for the precious children of Zambia is by helping us to provide them with a good education. You can do that by contributing to our high school construction project or our Breath of Heaven Scholarship Fund. Any ongoing or one-time donation that you can make would be most appreciated. Thank you so much.
The greatest joy being a part of Breath of Heaven's Children's Ministries has been seeing these kids be given a hope and a future, really their lives being changed, which are ultimately going to change the landscape of the nation of Zambia.
Like we said, when these kids come, the way their demeanor, their faces look, but within a short time of a short moment, you realize that there's something that happens to them and they are filled with joy, and this overwhelming joy go a long way to move them towards this bright future that we're talking about.
The last 2 years, we've had graduating classes that are now pursuing higher education, going to university and college. We had siblings, a brother and sister, twins, that came to the village when they were very young and now are studying at university.
My name is Akaro Mbewe.
And I'm James Mbewe. We are twins and this is our story.
We were born and raised in Chipata compound in a family of 7 children. And mostly mom was the one taking care of us because my father was very ill. So he had no job, nothing at all. And mom had to struggle to provide food and clothing for everyone. And since mom had no money to take us to a school, we ended up being at a community school which was free. After our father passed away, we lost everything. We lost our house. And life just changed because we had no place to go, and mom had to find another place, and it was very hard for her. And from that point, I didn't have any hope in anyone or in anything.
It was in 2010 when we came at Breath of Heaven. At first, it was hard for us to adjust to the new environment and new people. The only person I knew was her, and the only person she knew was me, so it was kind of hard. But after some time, we realized that Breath of Heaven had so much to offer than we just expected. We met our new brothers and sisters, and we met a new family which gave us love and care. And Breath of Heaven was also able to provide for us a decent home, and not only that, but a good education. This is the time where we got to New Christ as our Lord and personal Savior. Breath of Heaven has helped me a lot personally, considering the fact that I was born with a genetic disease which is sickle cell, which affects the red blood cells, and Breath of Heaven was able to provide for my medical insurance and everything. I'm really grateful for that. I'm currently doing a bachelor's degree in architecture at ICU, which is Information and Communication University.
And I'm pursuing a diploma in fashion and design at Even on College of Education. And thank you for everyone who has made our life better, and mostly thank you to Abusa Teddy and Mother Judy for coming into Africa and helping children like us become better future readers.
You really changed our life, and not only our life but everyone's life in the village and just everyone's life. I'm really grateful for that. I don't know where I would have been without you guys, without Breath of Heaven. And mostly I thank God for making this all to be possible.
The most exciting thing about the whole thing is after these kids have the hope and the future, and what happened next is they don't just keep it to themselves, but they add up to the community and the nation by changing the landscape.
Looking ahead, we would like to complete our secondary school as well as have 100% of our children fully sponsored.
Thank you for helping transform these lives of these kids and also give them a hope and a future.
Yes, and it's your generosity that will enable us to continue where we're going in the future. And you've heard the stories of those that have come out, but we're still working to give a hope and a future to those kids. And it's with your help we are able to do that.
You can donate by going to our website.
It is your donation that will transform the lives of these children in Zambia. And it's through your sacrifice and your generosity that things are changing, things are happening. The cycle of poverty is being broken. Hope and a future is being given to these children.
And we see them doing greater things and see them in the higher positions, and they add more value to the society.
Yeah. We pray and expect to see some of the kids that come out of Breath of Heaven to be the president, to be the doctors, to be the lawyers, to be those that are advocating for the downtrodden in their own country, those that are a voice to the voiceless, to those that are giving hope to the hopeless. And we get to have a little part in that story.